So after around 2 weeks of ownership of the Gigabyte G5, I've found that it's not really the laptop for me. Granted, it does have really good power and performance, but it also has an extreme amount of heat and also an extreme amount of fan noise. Something that I'm not really used to, especially with my previous machine being the Asus VivoBook, running a Ryzen 7 4700U, 20 gig of RAM. The vast majority of the time it's dead silent. Basic YouTube, perfectly fine. Load up a game like Superhot, it plays it at an okay performance. This machine would absolutely kill it, but this plays games adequately enough for me. This one absolutely destroys them, but the expense of the fan noise and the general heat coming out of the machine, and also the overall comfort, where I found that the very front of this laptop where I rest my palm, for the WASD keys, I find that it's constantly digging into the bottom of my wrist, which is not fun at all. So if you're using this at home, in a room by yourself, and you're either connecting it up to an external screen, or you had a keyboard and mouse, and had the laptop raised up on just a cooler, then you could definitely get away with using it, especially if battery life wasn't a requirement. But I find that 2 hours of battery life for a modern machine is definitely no good. So I couldn't recommend this for a school computer or a uni computer just because the battery life's not there. Granted, if you were landing up games at school and you had access to a PowerPoint, this will absolutely crush everything. Probably annoy the people sitting around you because that fan noise is quite loud. I did notice a fair bit of radiant heat on the left hand side of the keyboard, which I'm assuming is going to be potentially the GPU. I'm not actually 100% certain on that one. But after playing Cyberpunk 2077 for about an hour, my hands were getting quite warm. So definitely noticed that, the heat coming from it. Another thing I did notice during the last couple of days I was using it off power, in performance mode, and just web browsing. And I noticed as soon as I'd move my finger across the trackpad that it would generate a slight little hum. So it would slide my finger across, and while I'm in that motion of moving across the trackpad, and the mouse was moving on screen, I could hear a buzz getting emitted from around the middle of the laptop underneath. So I'm almost thinking it's something similar to coil whine. So I can't say I've heard coil whine on a laptop. I've heard them on plenty of desktops, but it seemed very strange that the simple fact of motion on the trackpad would produce this noise. So that has got me a bit annoyed with it, even though it was quiet at the time. The fans were barely moving. It was just idling at desktop. I could hear an audible electricity, staticky noise coming from it whenever I was moving the trackpad. It didn't matter if it was just a quick, sharp, straight left to right, or if I kept to sit there drawing a picture. As soon as there was motion, it was starting to emit it, which I'm not sure if it's something I didn't pick up on prior, due to always gaming on it and having the loud fan noises. It's definitely something to be on the lookout for. So at this point in time, I believe I'm going to be selling the Gigabyte G5 and stepping back to the Asus VivoBook, which for now it does everything that I want. It does my video rendering, it does light gaming, CSGO at 720p. Currently I'm experimenting with Cyberpunk on low, which does not look pretty, especially after seeing it on here, but it always looks playable. So for now it's going to be a goodbye G5. I'm probably going to try and sidestep over to a Asus Zephyrus G14, which is something that I'd find probably being a good middle ground between these two laptops. So I'll definitely be checking that out. I'll be probably waiting for the next version of the G14 to come out prior to purchasing them. So I'd probably end up spending similar price to this, if not a little bit more, to get the Asus G14 Revision 2, which will probably come out with a 5800 Ryzen, and hopefully something like a 3060 as well. Potentially, I'd assume it would be a lower wattage just by the style of laptop that it is. Where this is an 80 watt GPU in here, I'm assuming it would have a 60 watt in there just to preserve battery life. Anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Bye.